Happy Father's Day, everyone. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I know many of you who tune in to me have children of your own. Now, if you don't, it's still an amazing day. Make sure you give honor where it's due, because in my opinion, being a father is the most important role a man will ever take in his life. What's going on, guys? Gray Disciple back with another video. Now, my name, Gray Disciple, I've spoken about it before because I discipled men and that it just kind of fit at the time that I was making my gamer tag. Let me talk about discipleship a little bit. Discipleship is you teaching somebody else how to do something. A lot of you guys will go through this at orientation of a new job. You know, you get to the job, you watch someone else do the skills that you're going to need in order to be successful at the job. Then they do the skill set with you as they're teaching you. Eventually, they watch you do the skill set, and then you go off on your own, you're doing it by yourself. They do it in the military. You watch me, we'll do it together, then I'll watch you, then you're solo. And eventually, you're going to go out and train people as well. So, being a father is the ultimate example of discipleship. I mean, you are given these helpless children, and you've got to raise these children to provide for themselves, to survive, how they're going to live, how they're going to deal with people, what they're going to do for a living. You're going to teach them morality. I mean, if you're a Christian, you're going to teach them how to have a relationship with Christ. I mean, it is such an important role, and it's never ceasing. I mean, from the time that you wake up to the time that you go to bed, you are working and molding your children. Now, there's a really awesome story that I heard years ago, and I wanted to kind of talk with you guys about it because to me, it's a great depiction of what a father is. So there was this man. This was back, let's say 40, 50 years ago. His name was Jim, and he was an evangelist. An evangelist is somebody, it's a preacher who would travel around and speak to congregations, and the idea was to spark excitement and to get people to move. And this guy was so good within his denomination that his schedule was set 4 years out. Now, you guys think about that for a little bit. I mean, we're talking about 4 years. I mean, some of you guys have a problem scheduling a YouTube video 1 week out, okay? This guy's schedule for evangelism conferences and meetings was 4 years out. And he had worked out this schedule with his wife and his son. He would go on the road for 2 weeks and then come home for 2 weeks, then back out on the road for 2 weeks and then home for 2 weeks. And it worked great for years. Well, his son started getting older, and at the age of 16, his son was 6'2", and he towered over his wife. And one day when he was out on the road doing his meetings, he received a phone call from his wife. And she simply said, "I need you." See, over the course, as his son started to get older and older, his son started to take advantage of the opportunities whenever his father was away, because he knew that he could do whatever he wanted to because his mother couldn't stop him. And so things just came to a head, and she called her husband while he was at a conference and said, you need to come home now. Father left the meeting, came home immediately. They had a conversation. They put their house up for sale. He canceled all of his meetings and conventions for 4 years. They moved to a small town out in Texas. He took up a pastorate at a church, and for 2 years, he discipled his son. See, he gave up his career path because he knew the most important role that he will ever have in his entire life was for his son, not for himself. It wasn't about what glory he could find, but the knowledge, the privilege, the love that he could pass on to his son. And those 2 years changed everything. His son would eventually go off to college, and his son would go into radio broadcasting. Now, whenever his son left, the father tried to go back out into the evangelism path. You know, he started contacting churches and trying to get meetings set and such, but a lot of the pastors had retired that he had connections with, and the denomination had somewhat shifted, and there were new guns on the market, you know, younger guys, you know, with preaching fire and brimstone, and he just couldn't compete. So he could never get his ministry back up and going. He stayed in the small town in Texas and continued to run that church. But he made a choice to leave his ministry and to focus on his family. So later, his son, Dr. James Dobson, would start a ministry called Focus on the Family. Now, Dr. James Dobson, I've spoken about him before. You guys have actually seen him before when I did that video a while back where he sat down with Ted Bundy and interviewed him just hours before he was to be executed. Dr. James Dobson is an amazing man. This guy has taught to millions of people. He has written countless books and articles. He has spoken with Congress multiple times and the presidents. He's probably the keynote Christian speaker in the last 20-30 years outside of Billy Graham. I mean, everybody knows who this guy is, and it's all because his father sacrificed of himself to disciple his son. So I tell you this story, especially to you fathers out there. Don't forget the primary role in your life. You were given these kids as a gift, and you only get so many years with them. 18, maybe 20 for some of them. Because once they leave your house, the most you can really have with them is a friendship. So you're given these quintessential years where you can mold them and shape them and guide their path. I love in the Bible, it describes children as arrows in a quiver, and a father will take that arrow out, pull it back, and launch it into the future. And that's ultimately what discipleship is you are molding these arrows. You're going to aim that arrow and you're going to fire it. And that's what it's all about. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment down below. Once again, you guys, happy Father's Day. I hope you have an awesome day. And for you who don't have children yet, make sure you call your dad, tell him that you love him, and thank him for all that he's done for you. All right, you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Outrider neutralized.
We're winning this fight. The hostile robot is on the move.
Outrider kill.
Nomad kill.
Mission clock running down. Their robot has been disabled.
Shot out.
Friendly UAV inbound.
If you like that video, hit the thumbs up button. If you have a question, comment down below. And subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next video.